New year. It's a new you.
Hey, Warrior Saints, Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. You know, in the world that is the interwebs, you know, it's a beautiful place. There's a lot of connections. In fact, I just got a request today. Someone solicited me to join a group that is an interesting group, Roman Catholics, Protestants, and Orthodox Christians all together in a dialogue, a forum for dialogue, and it was great. There were very strict rules. Basically, no arguing, no bullying, don't be stupid. You know, just let's argue about ideas, not with other people. And those were the rules, and I had to click accept the rules before I could even go in, and which was really a nice thing. All of that, it made me reflect back on what the interwebs have become for so many people. And it's a daunting place, right? I mean, we know, even as warrior saints, we're pretty benign, I guess, but yet we've even had some, conversations and some, rough moments where people have gone back and forth, argumentatively. And sometimes I felt inside myself when we're putting forward the gospel to the best of our ability, and sometimes the gospel ruffles feathers because it calls us to question. When people get snarky, the temptation and that burning desire is to show them and to get back at them. Like I got to prove them wrong and defend God and His Word. And this guy's, like acting like a donkey, and I just, I got to get him. And I know somewhere inside that's not right. I'm not really interested in that. And yet that pull, that temptation is always there when someone posts one of those kind of comments. And I wanted to overcome that desire, that temptation, but it's a strong pull. This morning, on my Facebook feed, which I don't usually spend a lot of time on Facebook other than sharing with you guys, but in my Facebook feed, I saw a little meme about don't argue with donkeys. And the story goes like this. It's, the metaphor is animals in the forest, in the jungle. And a donkey is arguing with a tiger and says that, the grass is blue. And the tiger says, no, it isn't. The grass is green. And they got into this big argument. They couldn't solve it. So finally, they decided to seek arbitration. So they went to the king of the jungle, to the lion. And as they ran up to the lion, who was seated on his throne, the donkey says, Your Majesty, the grass is blue, isn't it? And the lion says, yes, the grass is blue. And the donkey's like, yay, runs off up and down. And he says, and the tiger, because of this argument, the tiger will have to accept as punishment 5 years of silence. And the tiger was like, all right, I mean, he's the boss, I got to do it. But before he went silent, he said to the lion, why, I mean, I'm right. Obviously the grass is green. Why did you give me this punishment? And the lion said, because you argued with a donkey. And then you wasted my time and brought it to me. So the moral of the story is like, why are you arguing with donkeys? Sometimes people are, ridiculous. We even see this in the book of Proverbs, right? Well, we see it all over the book of Proverbs, but I mean, you can see this wisdom is it's not just internet memes, it's scripture in Proverbs 29. If a wise man has an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs, and there is no quiet. Right? There's no quiet. And so as I think through all of this kind of stuff, and I know that temptation that I myself also struggle with, that desire to get back, I realize more and more that we do not have to engage that stuff. In fact, if we argue with donkeys, we become donkeys ourselves, right? That's the challenge of it. And so what's put before us is don't do that, right? That's the task that's put before us. Don't do it. So now, how do we don't do it? How do we not do it? I think the idea of that is putting things in proper perspective. One of the things is that we have to recognize that not everything matters. We have to assign proper value to certain things. And we have to recognize that it's not always about being right. We need to win, right? And win doesn't necessarily mean bludgeoning someone and showing why my argument's better, but sometimes winning is the silence of the tiger. Maybe not 5 years, but you understand. It's so putting things in proper perspective, not giving us inappropriate value to something, being winning instead of trying to be right. These are all things that will help us as we try to overcome that temptation to argue with donkeys. Now, I'm going to make my strong pitch because it just kind of all fell into place. It showed me that God was like, it dawned on me. I had this realization that God put us in the right spot to do this and offer it. Our 6-part battle plan that we have at warriorsaints.org. One of the modules is about our mind, how we think, how to think clearly. And we have specific lessons in there that are called assigning proper value, don't give things more credit than they need to, and don't be right, win. So somehow God has already put us in place to get this stuff out there. And so it's there. In there, you can learn step by step how to overcome some of these things. And ultimately, and I need to take my own advice too, for sure, how to not let that temptation to argue with donkeys overwhelm me so that I end up getting into the fray. Instead, finding victory just in the silence. Anyhow, it's there for you. I hope it's helpful for those who have, are interested. I mean, it's great. Get on the Way of the Warrior Saint with us. Find it there. Join us. Love it. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully with something else new and interesting. As always, until then, keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.